for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. And on the program today, we intend to take a look at how fast Lagos is developing, especially in terms of infrastructure, and how this infrastructure have also impacted on Lagos residents, and hopefully what government should consolidate on in days to come. This is, of course, in anticipation of Mr. President's visit to Lagos today, where he will be unveiling legacy projects or iconic projects like, of course, members of the Lagos State Executive Council have put it. And of course, like we told you before, Mr. President today will be at the Okwebi Main Day Link Bridge and also at the seat of power here in Alausa, where he'll be, throwing open the multi-agency complex as well as the EGIS building here in Alausa. We have two guests joining the conversation this morning, and together we'll be taking a look at all Lagos is achieving, of course, especially during the tenure of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. They are friends of the house, and of course we're glad to have Mr. Lukemon Owolabi join us in the studio this morning. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you, Mr. Owolabi, for being on the program today.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Good morning.
And we have Omooba Adeyinka Oyediran. He's a social commentator. Thank you, Omooba, for being here on the program today.
Good to be here.
Ajibola.
All right, gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you once again. And like Abimbola said, we'll be looking at Infrastructural Renewal Drive in Lagos State. Today is very historic in the history of Lagos. Mr. President is here on a two-day visit, and it will be commissioning some iconic projects in different parts of the state. But let's go back a bit. I've seen that Lagos has been very, very consistent in terms of infrastructural renewal drive. And would you allude that growth to the fact that a particular party had been in power over the years? Mr. Lukman Owolabi.
Okay. It is a truism, because when you look at Lagos State, the cosmopolitan nature of Lagos, it only requires people who are progressive-minded, people who have vision, people who are painstaking in the way they go about the mission of developing the state, So we were lucky we have been lucky in Lagos, for Lagos to have been ruled by progressive-minded individuals, particularly starting from Alhaji Lateef Jakonde. When it began this infrastructure renewal and the movement of the opening of towns and other areas within Lagos, particularly the Ekpe axis, it began the opening up of the place, because people who were going to Ekpe will go through Ijebu, go through Ikorodu and Ijebu, and before they can get to Ekpe. But he opened the Lekki axis, for us to be able to go to drive down to Ekpe. And you also know about his housing programs, the way the government of the day is also benefiting from one of the foundations that he laid, the Tolu schools, because he was actually the one that started it.
Right.
Not he even completed it. So what the government of the day has done is to rehabilitate, regenerate, and add more features and the rest of it. The Tolu schools, because at that time when it came in, students were going in the morning and some in the afternoon. So because he wanted to bridge that gap, so he had to build schools.
So many schools.
Yeah, to accommodate many students and pupils, particularly in the densely populated area of Ajegunle. So they had to reclaim that land, because it's by the river, so they had to by the lagoon. So they had to reclaim that land to build that complex. So that was one of the things that Alhaji Lateef Jakonde did, during his tenure. And that school, there are about 15 junior secondary schools,
and
16 senior
senior
secondary
secondary
schools,
school.
and 5 primary schools there. So about 36 schools within a complex.
Yeah.
I mean, that's massive.
I think
So,
if our producers can actually project, you know, that's that's
okay,
it. That's the
it.
Toulouse
Yeah,
school.
that's
that
the
we can
Toulouse
see
schools
there.
now. That's
Right.
what we call
Yeah.
Toulouse schools. So it was to accommodate a lot of pupils and a lot of students at that time, so that they wouldn't have to go in the morning and some in the afternoon. Those we call Loloson because because he used to call them
Right.
Loloson. So he bridged that gap in so many areas. He built sheds, and many people were making fun of those sheds
Yes,
back in
but-
the day.
but those
They
sheds
were calling
actually
them
did
poultry.
yeah,
Even the houses he built, they were not finished houses. All those estates, Jakonde estates all
yes.
over the place. They were not finished houses. They were like carcass. But when people moved into them, they
completed
patched them up.
them, right.
Because it's always been expensive, to build complete houses.
Right.
So he fashioned that. He factored in it that people might not be able to afford. Might not be able to afford if they have to do all the finishing. So he
At
built
least
the
get
carcass.
somewhere to stay.
So
That-
they
that
had
would be
roof over
it.
their head,
Yeah.
and then they moved on from there. Go to all the estates today; they have all been covered up. People are living there, and they are happy. So
He laid the foundation for what we are seeing today.
exactly, he
Absolutely.
actually laid the foundation. And in 1999, when we now came, to the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he now said, okay, because when he came in, people were shouting that, what is this man doing? He's wasting time. He's not doing anything. Coming from the background of the governments he inherited, particularly that of Olagunsoye Oyinlola. When Olagunsoye Oyinlola was here, everywhere was dilapidated. The roads were in disrepair. The refuse was all over the place. They had mountains of refuse in Lagos. No roads, everything. In fact, at a point, when they were asking Olagunsoye that you are not building, you are not reconstructing, you are not refurbishing, you are not doing anything on these roads, he said there is no bitumen. That was what he said at that time, But when Marwa came in, the Brigadier
Buba
Buba
Marwa.
Marwa came in, he actually found bitumen. So they
were able to
resurface
the roads.
repair some of the roads. He also did the Ikorodu road, the road leading to Ikorodu. Yeah, even though it was not properly done, but I mean, the Ayongmuri was very happy about it, and he praised Marwa forever, because people living in Ikorodu now had some form of relief to go back to Ikorodu, and that's not the only one. Remember the Oregon Link Bridge? The Oregon Link Bridge, the bridge that links that Okpebi area to Oregon. It was Buba Marwa that did it. So we're also lucky to have someone like Buba Marwa who was development minded.
Okay. Let's quickly hold your thoughts there, Mr. Owolabi. I noticed that while you were speaking, Omooba was nodding, meaning that, he was actually agreeing with, your submission. Omooba, let's take it from where Mr. Owolabi stopped and look at the impacts of people of like minds. People starting a project and getting other people with the same foresight to continue and probably also lay a better foundation for such to have happened. We've always heard government or governance is a continuum, but if you start something and you're not opportune to find people who will take it a notch higher, it might just be wasted effort. So what's your take when it comes to how lucky we have been in Lagos?
Thank you very much. I agree in totality with what my brother has said. But I'll put it this way, sir, that the like minds, I think it has relationally bearing with the orientation of we people in the Southwest. Education, exposure. You remember that even before independence, people like late Obafemi Awolowo and like they've been in the UK, some have been in the West African countries and whatever. They've seen what is obtainable all over the world. And they tried to say, okay, if we have these resources, can't we do it better? In the then Western region, late Obafemi Awolowo did massively, massive job, that widened the horizon of our people. Majority of us went to free education schools. You remember that the then cocoa business that time.
Go on.
The cocoa business that was, the infant at the Southwest that time, we were able to see the results. It was massive result orientation. Look at Cocoa House in Ibadan. Look at Western education that he was able to, free education that he was able to brought to all those areas that were in the Southwest. It was, if he had been the president that time, peradventure, it would have been the pace of what we are going to have all over the country. Look at the Nigerian house in UK. And then, come to look at so many other developments. I remember then that the what do you call this place in Awe, is it farm project that we have in Awe, where they were grooming cows and whatever. You go to Odeda farm project, it was during Western region. You go to this abandoned project at Koka in A4, and so many other things. Come to when Jakonde came on board, just like my brother said. I remember there are some schools that go beyond Oloson. Some goes in the night. Yes. I remember Jaodoro Primary School in Jibowu area. It used to be, there was problem between the Christian and the Muslim. When Christian build a church, they would go and break it when they build it. At the end of the day, Jakonde brought his school there. And every children has to go to school, right, whether you are a Christian or a Muslim. And that was the end of the problem. Then, like Riley said, that they were calling it cages, poultry. But forgetting the fact that land was very crucial. He was able to acquire those lands all around Lagos State. And that is, if there was no land, when a successive government came on board, the tendency for that massive project to be there might not come. But he has already acquired. Look at where where you used to have a LTV and Radio Lagos over there. Later they acquired this land. It was that Koto, Isale Koto, that we were before, during Mama Funke Ogunshikpe, that time. Okay? Look at the Lagos State House of Assembly, all the secretariats that we had there. It was during Jakonde. Right. He had foresight. He was able to acquire the land. That look, if I'm able to start this thing this way, then
others can build
on it.
Right.
When there's no foundation, there cannot be anything on top. Now, if you remember, what we're having as what we ought to have gotten that time was metro line in terms of transportation.
Right.
All these axes to Ojota, whatever, they were all
lines,
for this metro line.
Right.
But the government at the federal level could not give the necessary support. That would now make me to single out the present president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, His Excellency. When he came on board, he saw what the foundation and the foresight, the vision of those previous leaders, and decided, I will remember the issue of light, electricity would have been a thing of the past. Yeah. If you remember, is it Aaron project? Aaron, at Ikorodu. Go there, you see the massive land and massive infrastructure they were put. The foresight was so good. The mindset was that by now we shouldn't be talking about 4,000 megawatts or whatever. Because today it is individual that provides electricity for themselves, solar or generator or whatever. At the time, they consider Nigeria to be the biggest generator market, if not in the whole of the world, at least in Africa.
Right.
Okay, Omooba,
yes, sir.
From your, Mr. Owolabi, rather, from his narration now, oftentimes people have described Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the architect of the modern Lagos. So how do you think Mr. President will be feeling today being in Lagos to commission some of these iconic projects done by the administration of Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu?
Yeah, you see, the thing is, you see, when a boy goes to the bush and kills a rabbit, it is his own. But by the time he brings the rabbit home, it belongs to everybody. Exactly what Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did when he started laying the foundation for what we are seeing today. Even the Okpebi Oduyalaro link bridge was conceived during his tenure. Even the blue line, the red line, the purple line, the green line, and everything was conceived during his
All from the master plan.
all from the master plan. That was a
design.
25-year master plan that successive governments had to follow.
Right.
And everything was there, because that's, in fact, it was what I was trying to say the other time when he got in and people were shouting that it seems this Tinubu is slow. He's not. We are not seeing what he's doing. He said, calm down. You have to plan. When you plan, you have a good foundation. Then you can build on it, because he commissioned
Technocrats.
the technocrats.
Yeah, that was the Enyigbe where the Enyigbe summit came on.
Diverse background.
People of diverse background. I mean, Patutomi was even he was leading a team there. He said, go and fashion out how we are going to develop.
Dr. Ekemode of the blessed memory.
How we are
That
going
was
to
the chairman.
develop Lagos. And then those people, they work for months. And at a stage, when they were giving the governor trouble, he said, I'm still waiting for these people to finish. At the time, those people even asked for extension because they said they had not concluded their job. He gave them further extension. And by the time they brought the report, and then he saw it, he said, this is fantastic. This is how we are going to build Lagos. And then it began little by little. I can remember that time, the first two roads that were built, it was this same Oregon Road and then Awolowo Road in Ikoyi. Those were the two roads it started with. And then later, the Ojuelegba Yaba, Ojuelegba Itire to Ojuelegba, Lawansin Itire Road also came along. So, and the thing is, if you go and look at those roads still, even today, they are still solid. Oregon Road, Yaba Itire, and then Awolowo Road in Ikoyi, they are still as solid as anything till now. And then the roads that were built in 2001. So that foundation that was laid by Bola Ahmed Tinubu is what successive governments have been following.
Right.
And then he did not just say, I'm doing the foundation and leaving everybody to do whatever they like. He's sort of monitoring and
ensuring that,
them.
that the right people that will get it done.
Because any leader that does not have any succession plan has failed as a leader. And that's where Lagos has been unique. That's why Lagos is different from many other states, because the foundation was laid, and then there's a plan for them to follow, and then those who are going to implement the plan are also put in place, carefully chosen.
And somehow they've been part of government as well before now.
They've been part of the government.
Coming along.
Even when Governor Ambode, came up with his character flaws, he said, look, you are not following the master plan. This is not how we envisage that Lagos will grow. And he was shoved aside at a point. And then they brought in another one that said that he felt
would follow the plan thoroughly.
Would do better. And we can all see how everything is blossoming.
Okay.
You can see the completion of the blue line. You can see the red line moving. And you can also see, if you go to Badagry Road now, you see them extending the blue line towards Okokomaiko.
True.
It is there. And then this, that school.
The Tolu school.
That Tolu school.
Yeah.
what the facilities that are there today. They never had a library. Put in a library. Water treatment plant is there.
There's a football pitch, sports complex.
No, there's not just a football pitch. There's 19 football pitches of various sizes are there. So they won't say, this school, they are disturbing us, they are not allowing us to play. If you can have your own arena there. And even within the school, they also have basketball courts, they have a volleyball court, and the rest of it. The facilities are, in fact, if I was a teacher there, I would work for free because of the kind of ambience we have around.
They don't want you to be a teacher.
I mean, the students, the students there, you know,
they shouldn't have any excuse for not learning.
The atmosphere is conducive for learning.
Right.
The furniture, the everything, the teaching aids, everything there is. And you know what? I just must put this in. I remember Ajegunle, you know, AJ City. That this Ajegunle has this kind of, you know, schools, facilities, and they can now say we are in elite area. That's the way they will look at it now. Ajegunle, you know, Ajegunle back in the 19th century, you know, was actually under the ownership of the Oluwa and the Ojoras, you know. Yeah. So the Ojoras had the major part of Ajegunle, and the Oluwas had the major part of Araromi.
Ajeromi.
So that's how Ajeromi came into
Ajegunle and
Ajegunle.
Abbreviation of it.
In fact, the Adeyemos, the Fakunles, the Bakaris, the Thomases were part of. Yeah, they were rather the first settlers in Ajegunle. You know, and the meaning of Ajegunle when the Adeyemos got there was Ibiti Ajegunle. That's how Ajegunle came into being. Right. So they combined Ajegunle and Araromi to form Ajeromi Ifelodun. And the Ifelodun part was that when the Yorubos, you know, because the Yorubos were also coming there to trade. They migrated into that area, and they were coming to trade, and they said, but they were not settled.
They were not settled. They were travelers.
They were travelers. So when they came in, they now said, these people have taken over the whole place, and we were coming here before to trade and all this. So don't worry. It is now Ajeromi Ifelodun.
Let's spread the love around.
We'll accommodate you Ifelodun. So it became Ajeromi Ifelodun. So it's a historical area for them to have that kind of school in that area for everybody, regardless of your.
It's even an inclusive school.
Yeah, very inclusive, regardless of your background, regardless of your race, regardless of your ethnic background, regardless of your religion.
It is for everybody.
It is for everybody.
All right, Omooba, I mean, it's taking us through, you know, what probably we could not have heard in the history of how that place came to be. But let's quickly come back to Alausa here and look at that multi-agency complex. Yesterday when we had the Commissioner for Information, he said, you know, it's unheard of that Lagos with her status will have, you know, agencies, parastatals paying rent outside Alausa in some places. And that place, now, you know, they will move in there. So when you look at the status of Lagos, and now that at least more agencies will be close to the seat of power, how do you translate this to governance, moving closer to the people and somewhat being a little bit seamless for people who would like to do business with government or would like to have more information about how government operates?
You have answered
my question myself.
Even from the introduction, when you are talking about how do we see it when there is continuity? When there is continuity from people that are of the same horizon and believe in what the master plan, which was originally drawn, and taking clue to what the forefathers wanted. I took it from when Owolabi was at the realm of affairs at the Western region.
Right.
I try to remind you of the University of Ibadan, what do you call it, and other places that you can talk about that were beneficiary to and brought about development and a very good horizon. And coming on board of Jakonde, he was more of offshoot of what Owolabi believes in
the Western region.
And he was able to acquire, I talked about land because all this we are talking about today. If there had not been land acquisition time in preparation for this development, there is likelihood for us, maybe we'll be talking of high rising. Maybe if you go to China or you go to Italy, maybe 21 story or whatever. But today, look at, when you talk about Alausa, I told you, remember when the seat of government used to be old secretariat? It was, I wouldn't say, that wasn't the idea, but the starting point. Then you can now see the development activities and seamless way that job is being done at the government level when we were in, what do you call it, Alausa here. Now talking about that multi-agency, whatever, you will discover that, okay, let me quickly chip in. There was a time, Bureau of Survey, before they became what they are today now, they are under the Lagos State Governor.
Right.
Okay? You do a job over there, you are not in tandem with the Bureau of Land, before you know what is happening. There are quite a lot of scrupulous elements that will say if you have a C of O or 2, 3 C of O upon a land. But the moment everything was fused together, there's synergy. The GIS was brought in. The Bureau of Survey has an office right inside Bureau of Land there. When there's this, over there, there's a line of communication. But so it's a kind of evolvement that they are evolving from what they used to be in the past. What we are witnessing, or we're about to witness here, one is going to reduce a lot of stress. It's going to bring a kind of dashboard that will bring about almost everybody, just like when you have a workstation and you have a central. So job will be so easy. When you go to the bank, you will be seeing the people at the counter as if they are the own. But a lot of people are being connected at the back, foreign exchange, debt recovery and whatever, all infused into one unit that you call your bank. The same thing the government is trying to do here. When you are talking earlier, you talk about the Owolabi Link Bridge. Look at what Ikorodu Road used to be. Look at what people from Ikeja used to go through before they can link Ikorodu Road. Now from here, if somebody is going to Owolabi axis and is on the Ikorodu Road, it doesn't need to go to Maryland.
Right.
You'll have out from here. People coming from that side will have keyed, and if they are going to Lagos Ibadan Express Road,
they will
bypass they link up.
Yes.
Before you know. So, sir?
No, I said from Olopopo
area. Before you know what is happening, then Lagos is becoming better. And when you call something a mega city or try to be a mega city, these are things, ease of movement, connectivity conveniently. You understand me? I think where they borrowed the idea from, very soon, both the vessels on the water line,
the waterways,
okay, the waterways, the transportation, and even every other whatever, they will have a kind of connectivity so that as soon as interwoven or you call it intermodal, the moment the waterways is dropping the passenger,
you can get onto the
buses that will be connecting.
Yes.
And at the end of the whatever, if you want to connect the train, I remember what Okokomaiko, my two, used to be. People will wake up 4 a.m. Sometimes I do ask, are they human beings? If you get there around 5, you see people gushing out, not oozing, gushing out. Today, mass movement.
Right, on the train.
I remember there was a related program you did here some times ago, when we were talking about Berlin, that they use coaches, train coaches as if it's a taxi. You think they're a taxi driver. Every 30 minutes, and you have the dashboard telling you that so the same way you have in UK. I think it is high time we won't just be users or whatever. But whatever we are seeing over
We
there,
can copy
we
and
are domiciling it here so that life can be better.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Owolabi, I know you are a stakeholder, and I can see how excited you are with the new bridge linking Okwebi, Mende, and the rest, and the other parts of the city. So what's the mood like looking at that site? And of course, everybody can see that it's a beauty to behold. So what is the mood like? What are the people saying in that axis of Mende, Ojota, and Maryland as well?
It's excitement galore. Excitement. I've been excited since the very day I saw Julius Berger bringing their machinery into that area, and I asked, I said, what's going on here? They said they want to construct a bridge to link Okwebi. I said, whoever thought of that? Whoever could have thought of that? I mean, that's ingenuity. And I've been fascinated by that project from the outset. I said, this is a life-changing project. It's a landmark. It's an iconic project. It's a legacy project. In fact, for the thought, for me, nothing beats it. I mean, I go and walk out on the bridge. I do all sorts of
Already?
things. Oh, I walk out on the bridge. That's where I've always been walking
You've
out.
been walking
Yeah, I've
out.
been walking out there.
So aesthetically, what's your view?
It's a, you see when you look at the bridge, especially from on top of the Ojota bridge,
okay.
and then you look down and you see the elliptical nature of the bridge. You're just fascinated because you don't know whether to call them phalanges or to call them, the centripetal or something. You see, what fascinates me about the bridge is that it's going to take out a great deal of traffic from that Maryland end.
Yeah, the
And
Mobolaji
then the
Bank Anthony.
Anthony.
Right.
Axis that is normally hell for many people because you can't predict what can happen
On
there
that road,
at any point in time.
True.
So someone coming from Ojota can link Okwebi. You don't have to go to Maryland. You don't have to go to Maryland and then go all the way Bank Anthony and then go by Sherat. You don't have to do that. Just enter and find your way to Okwebi Alley.
Right.
You know the beauty of it. The beauty of it is that there is even a walkway there.
I understand there's a bicycle lane there.
The one from Ojota, there's a walkway.
Okay.
The bicycle lane is the one that leads to Okwebi.
Okay.
So from Ojota, you can trek. You don't have to take any bus. You can trek for 10, 15 minutes and find yourself in Okwebi.
So it's a form of exercise.
It's a form of exercise. It's also going to change the culture of how we transport ourselves to certain areas.
Okay.
Because I've tried it. Between 10 and 15 minutes from Ojota end, you'll get to Okwebi. And then when you go on the second bridge, I looked at it. So many things on that bridge.
This as well.
Underpass. If someone that's coming from Ojota, you don't have to go to Maryland to make a U-turn. You just go after 100 meters, just make a left turn and go back and face Ojota.
Ojota, okay.
So
that used to be the Cane Village.
Yeah, no, you won't even get to the
Cane Village before you make a turn.
Just 100 meters from Ojota, you just make a U-turn and face Ojota back.
Okay.
That's
U-turn. Okay. So that's under
the bridge.
Okay.
That's an underpass under the bridge. You just go back to Ojota. So if you are coming further, you are coming towards Okwebi, you can then link the Cane Bridge area. That's Yalaro, or you can go further to Maryland, or you go to Okwebi. You know the beauty about that Okwebi, the one that goes to Okwebi, is that there's a walkway, for pedestrians, and there's also the lane for bikes. If you have bike, you have a scooter, you have a dedicated lane. And then because they also factored in flooding.
Okay.
Because that is what we suffer from the other bridge on Ojota. That's why that bridge is
always
flooded.
flooded.
Because the debris will go down the pipes. it will block.
And then they'll block,
block
so
the
you
area,
can't get
and
them
then water
out.
cannot go there,
Go in.
and then everywhere will be flooded. You know what they did here? They put a basket there
To sieve. Okay, so the
debris.
dirt can get into...
Dirt can get into the
Okay,
pipes that
right.
will go down. So they will just, at a point when the thing is full, they will just open it,
and then
remove the
empty
debris,
it. Okay.
remove the debris, and put the basket back. So
Right.
it is only perhaps water that will be going down there. So it won't get flooded at any
Right.
point in time.
Right.
So that's another beauty. And then the solar lights.
Yeah.
I mean,
So there's always going
it's-
to be lights.
It's well lit. It's well lit. And I did quite a few videos about how they need to landscape that area, because after they built the bridge and I look at the whole surrounding, I said, wow, this is a mini Orlando. This is a mini Orlando, a potential mini Orlando. I mean, the lights, they can turn that place into anything. You can turn it into Disneyland. The way, because we have
space.
the space there.
Space.
I never knew we had so much space there.
Because that place was waterlogged now, so you would never have thought that it was going to be something like that.
They can do all sorts of landscaping, and all sorts of amusement park can be there. You know, all kinds of parks can be there, and it can be a revenue generating effort, you know, for tourism. Because many people will love to come there and
say what's
take pictures.
happening.
Yeah,
Right.
to take pictures around there. They can turn it to a money-making machine.
Right.
Because people will pay in.
To
You know,
get
the
to
same way
see
we
view.
go to Universal Studios in Orlando or Disneyland, they will pay to get in. You can put all sorts of facilities there for kids. Make it a family area.
Right.
That is what is going to happen there eventually.
Okay.
You know, because
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
place.
we will not allow all that space to be wasted.
Stakeholders like you will not keep quiet about
Depending
it.
on the partnership they're going to have with the original owners of, or those who have.
I'm
interest
sure
in
that one is sorted already.
Compensation and all that.
No, that one is done and
That-
dusted
that-
with
that-
already. So it's not. So from what you've just said now, again, and from what he said, I mean, the thoughts of that project alone is one that, you know, again, it shows how people can have foresight and also pursue it to a logical end. So what do you expect government to take out from this particular Mende Bridge in terms of future projects, you know, that will always stand the test of time? Because we know that this one, though it might have been, you know, conceived many years ago, but it was at the appropriate time that, you know, the execution actually came to be, and we now know that this is going to be another project that will last, you know, for years to come. So what are some of the things that you think that government also needs to take into cognizance when undertaking projects, you know, that will stand the test of time, using the Mende Link Bridge as a yardstick?
Thank you, madam. Permit me, before I answer that question, to take you to one angle of the whole thing. What the perspective some people had about the man called Ashwaju Bola Tinubu on the issue of succession. You see, this is somebody who knew where he was coming from, who had ideas of what he has seen all over the world. And he had a vision. And he needs some people to bridge the vision, you know, the idea onto the reality. The reality is what you are talking about today.
Right.
And meanwhile, according to the Constitution, he did not have more than 2 tenures.
Right, 8 years.
Which was 8 years then. I was at the Lagos State House of Assembly on his last day. He was almost weeping. Peradventure, this might be the reason that all this idea I had, I hope I will have people. Then again, you know, a lot of people will say, why? He didn't use a politician, he brought somebody, a techno. Remember, Fashola was not originally penciled down.
Right.
I remember those who were jostling. About 11 commissioners were jostling for that position. I remember at a point in time when they were complaining about him, he gave them the go ahead. If you don't believe in my choice, then 11 of you, go and choose. And when they left, he said, they may not agree. 2 days later, they came back. They were fighting each other. majority of the commissioners, because he knew what, you know, Fashola had already prepared his office as a son to start practicing when he was called upon. I can't remember one man. He's a very fair person in complexion. When Ashwaji told him, when he got Ashwaji's message that he might be used as governor, he ran away and said, "My wife doesn't like trouble." But Fashola had already contributed money that people were saying, "Okay, let us contribute to make sure that we put the idea of Ashwaji forward." Before he came to know that, you know, he built the Lagos house.
Yes.
As chief of staff, in anticipation that he's preparing for the next governor, not knowing that it was one that will use it. Where am I going is that when a man has an idea, he has the vision. He is the major architect of it. He knows where he's going. Sometimes you might misconstrue that why is he doing this? And when somebody was there and he's not going, according to my brother, when he was not going, I will use the language whip, and the whip back to lane, and it's not possible. Let's change the gear so that my vision
Can continue.
So I can now see the reason why he carefully chooses whoever steps in.
Right.
So that I think the major reason is this vision is a baby that must not die.
Right.
I give it to him.
Okay, Mr. Owolabi.
He's there to answer that question.
Like Lenny said, she said, what do we expect, and which direction? I am going to say that Baba has done his best. Thank God he was able to find his way to that level, and he was able to use the resources at the federal level, or support, or whatever, or the clout, or we are behind you, go ahead, to get things to this extent. We should continue. We should allow him to continue. Let me remind you the two Babeyis. In 1996, the two of them were from the same parent, from Kebbi State. One was at the end of affairs of NDLA, while one was the chief of army staff. That place was more or less a village. But within a short period of time, you need to see the kind of development that came on board. I cannot do but continue to thank Ashwaji for this vision. If he is not at the end of affairs, it might not be possible. There's likelihood for what we're having today. And that is the more reason why I'm going to beg everybody. Whatever it's going to take, let us return him back there so that Lagos can take another shape.
You pay for that advance.
No problem. So that what I'm saying is that whoever they are bringing in, we don't need to complain again. We should just be key into the idea of Ashwaji that he knows what he's doing. He has his reason. It is only those who can continue to champion that cause, who can take us to that promised land, who can take Lagos State to where Ashwaji was having the idea of, that we should allow. Okay. I mean, that is what we should be expecting from whoever is at the end of affairs.
Okay. All right. Continuity, Abi?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Owolabi.
And whether they are complaining about one party or no party, I think we have seen the beauty. What is important is what we are benefiting. Are we benefiting development? Yes. Okay. We are benefiting.
Are you a member of the APC?
I'm a member of Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian and I'm a Lagosian.
All right, Mr. Owolabi. You know, all these achievements wouldn't have been possible without money.
Oh, yes.
So what do you think these bold steps taken by Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu would do to the psyche of those that are tax compliant, and on the other side, for those deviants who are not paying their taxes?
Well, now it's even almost impossible for you not to pay tax, you know, because they will capture you. The tax net is being widened to drag in so many other people, and that's why we have the Tax Reform Act, you know, which is also benefiting everybody. Nobody likes to pay tax all over the world. People don't like to pay tax, but the thing is, when you have to pay it, you want to see what the tax money is doing. I remember back in the day when Ashwaji would put signboard everywhere that
taxpayers'
money in action. So it's a constant reminder that this money, they didn't come from heaven. It is coming from you. So you are a stakeholder in this. So the more you pay your tax, the more you see benefits like this. And this is what we can see. We can see where our tax money is going. That's why sometimes I love that song that they sing. So we can see, Oliver, even the blind can see. For those who are refused to see, who have refused to see anything good, they will never see anything good, because there is no way you can wake someone that is pretending to be asleep. It is only the person that is sleeping that you can wake, and the person will wake up. If you are pretending to be asleep, even if you pour water on the person, he will still be doing like that.
Like he's still sleeping.
Pretense.
Yes. So those who are pretending to be asleep, they cannot see anything. But for those who have eyes, even the blind can feel. I mean, because you can feel the excitement in the air. I passed when I was passing through the Ojota Bridge today, and I was looking on my left side. I said, "Wow, it is happening already." I took pictures, you know, those kind of things, and I saw people had already lined up on the Ojota Bridge,
Waiting to catch a glimpse.
waiting to see proceedings as they are opening it. They are all there. The security men are there guarding them. People, the masses are also there. They are watching from top of the Ojota Bridge. So it's excitement galore. So this kind of things is what we expect to see. And if you have thinking people in office, this is what we expect them to bring out every time. You know, because I always talk about the thought process that went into that action before that bridge came in. I also remember when Governor Sanwo-Olu started the rehabilitation of that road from Deeper Life area,
Okay.
that Dia side, and then all the way through Bariga to the front of University of Lagos. I mean, I can remember what that place used to be. There was no way I'll be coming from Unilag and I would say I want to go to Anthony and attempt to go through Bariga. They swear for me. I would never. But now, it's my favorite axis. So this is what it does for commuting. It does a lot for our health. Because for people who want to transport themselves from Unilag to Anthony or Bariga or Bagada, I mean, you don't have any other route to go than that place. And it gets you there in a jiffy. I was at Badagry the other day. I've been to Badagry 2-3 times now in the last 3 months. Who am I? What will I be going to do in Badagry back in the day? Right. Because you have to devote a whole day.
A whole day affair.
It's a whole day affair.
But that has changed.
From Surulere, I spent 1 hour, 4 minutes to get to the Badagry roundabout.
I can attest to that.
Because I have a property in Bariga that I give out for rent. So I visit there often now.
In Bariga or Badagry?
In Badagry, sorry.
Oh, wow.
1 hour, 4 minutes. Yeah, you know. So 1 hour, 4 minutes, I was there. I went with a friend who came in from Germany. He was surprised. He said, "Is this the Badagry they're talking about?" That he was thinking they were going to spend the whole day. That maybe we are going to sleep there, you know.
Come back the next day.
We went there, we spent 1 hour, and then another 1 hour, 20 minutes, we were back in Surulere, going to eat amala all over the place. You know? So this is the kind of thought process that must go into development.
Okay.
And because what appears as a mountain to an ant is only a small stone to a human. So when you put people that have brain in office, this is how they think. But people that do not have that kind of orientation cannot think out. They can't think out of the box.
Based on what
So
you
this
have
is a
just
reality.
said now, let's quickly look at what some people also are saying, that why how did we get into that space where it is every project unveiling or every project commissioning that we have to, roll out the drums? For example, bring in Mr. President to, declare, the Mende Bridge open, the EGIS building open, the Alausa complex, which has been named after Mr. President. And they think, these are projects with taxpayers' money. Why do we need to roll out the drums for such projects?
Yoruba says, Baba Shedi Lori Opelamade. Let's be thankful. Some people have been there in the past, and we couldn't see the beauty of those money that were coming in. Number one. Two, when you look at that, what that place used to be, the security challenges that it has taken off that area. It used to be a den.
Yeah.
Even any armed robbers, if they strike on the road and they run into the axis, you dare not go there. At a point in time, under bridge, the Yalaro was a no-go area in the night. So today, in appreciation of the fact that, one, we are connected to the federal. Two, it's like a holiday walking visit because he is here. And I keep on saying, it is because we have the president here. If he had gone to his village, maybe he's from Kebbi or he's from Daura, then it will not, if you now say we are bringing him down, he is at home.
He's homecoming.
He is homecoming. I was trying to bring an example to you of the two Bamei, Ishaya and Musa. I think one of them is of the blessed memory now. Musa is dead. Well, now, Kebbi used to be a village. I remember when they created the Kebbi State, they used to share their location at Alhaji Gaba Hamza house in Apapa. The contractors were taken from Lagos, and it was schools that they used as secretariat and whatever. Now that we have the president here, you understand me? We are lucky to have the president who had the original vision and is giving us the necessary support and is there by the grace of God. I think the SCDA will soon become local government. And what are you talking about? If that, it means development to the grassroots, to the nook and cranny. Don't forget that Kano used to be of the same status with Lagos State. Thereafter, they removed, I think, Jigawa State out of it. Another state entirely. Lagos State still remain the same. I believe by the grace of God before I actually leave that seat. If I have my way, I will extend it.
I don't extend it. Don't extend it.
If I have my way.
No, don't have your way.
So I am assuring that the 37 SCDA, when it becomes local government, it means we'll be able to draw directly from the federal allocation. Presently, they still regard us as 20 from the 774 local government. That is the beauty of having the son of the soil at the end of affairs.
Omooba, please, you might need to hold your thought for a while. We need to go on a very short break at this moment. We'll be back shortly.
GCFR is coming home to celebrate progress. President Tinubu will commission key projects that will transform Lagos and further strengthen our position as the country's economic powerhouse. The strategic 5.04-kilometer Ojota-Okpebi Link Bridge, the Lagos State Geographic Information Systems, ALAUSA, the state-of-the-art multi-level agency building, ALAUSA, and Toulouse Schools Complex, comprising 36 schools, a stadium, 19 football pitches, lawn tennis courts, and other sports facilities built for over 20,000 students. Join Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu on April 8th and 9th, 2026 as he welcomes the president for the commissioning of projects that will shape the future of Lagos. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, àjùmọ̀ṣe gbogbo wa ni.